Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing Moby Dick, or The Whale, by Herman Melville. This book was originally published in 1851. It runs anywhere between 500 and 600 pages long. My copy here is 340 pages long, and it is one of, if not the greatest, American novels ever written. Now, it wasn't originally. When this was first published, it was a bit of a failure, and it took until after Melville's death that it really blew up and became the widely renowned American novel that it is today. So it's one of my favorite books of all time. I can't wait to talk about it today. Another fun fact about it, actually, is it's based off of a real shipwreck from 1820, the sinking of the Essex. And I'll give you guys a documentary later in today's video if you guys want to research a little bit more about that sinking. But as always, we'll go through a brief summary of the book. Spoiler-free, of course. They're always spoiler-free for these Why You Should Read videos. I'll give you guys a little bit of background on what this book is about. We'll go over a couple film recommendations, a couple documentary recommendations. I'll give you guys some additional literature that I would branch off to after this. I'll share with you guys some of my favorite quotes. But before we get into all of that, I want to give you guys a couple words on the author himself. Herman Melville was an American novelist, short story writer, and poet of the American Renaissance period. Born in New York City, Melville embarked on several sea voyages in his youth, experiences that profoundly influenced his literary work. His early novels, such as Typee and Omo, were based on his adventures in the South Seas and gained him initial fame. However, his later works, including Moby Dick, were not commercially successful during his lifetime. It wasn't until the 20th century that Melville's genius was fully recognized, with Moby Dick being celebrated as a masterpiece of American literature. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a little bit more background on the man himself. Herman Melville is widely regarded as one of the greatest American writers of all time, and his magnum opus is obviously Moby Dick. I'll suggest for you guys a documentary in a few minutes here that goes a little bit more into the life of Herman Melville if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the man. But let's give you guys a quick little synopsis of what Moby Dick itself is actually about. Moby Dick follows the journey of Ishmael, a contemplative sailor who joins the whaling ship Pequod, under the command of the enigmatic Captain Ahab. As the ship sails across the vast oceans, Ishmael becomes entwined in Captain Ahab's obsessive quest to hunt down Moby Dick, a legendary white whale that had previously maimed the captain. The novel intricately weaves detailed accounts of whaling practices with profound philosophical musings, exploring themes of fate, obsession, and man's place in the universe. Through Ishmael's eyes, readers are taken on a profound voyage that delves deep into the human psyche and the mysteries of the natural world. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a better idea of what the story is actually about. It's about a lot of things. It's a descent into madness. There's also some chapters that are explicitly just about whale anatomy. And I know some people find those chapters to be a drag, and some people are like, why are they even in here? But I think you'll grow to love them over time. I think those chapters are in there to help make you feel like you're a part of the crew. And that's what it did for me. Even though it was a little bit tedious to read about, whale bones and stuff like that and different species of whales, by the end of those chapters, I really felt like I was a crew member and I had the same knowledge as the other crewmates. A couple of my favorite chapters from the book, from the beginning of the book, I want to keep this spoiler-free. It's best if you go into a book like this blind, but a couple of my favorite chapters are from the very beginning, particularly the scenes where Ishmael is meeting Queequeg for the first time and how their friendship develops. That's really awesome. And the scene in the chapel. I'm going to do like a full psychological analysis of that chapel chapter because it is brilliant. I mean, every chapter in Moby Dick I think is brilliant, and this deserves a deep dive at some point in the future. So you can expect an analysis video on Moby Dick at some time in the future on Deep Thought. Next, I'm just going to throw up on screen for you guys here the complete works of Herman Melville. So if you guys want to dive deeper into his writings, here's a pretty much complete list of his novels, short stories, and poetry. I've only read Moby Dick, so I can't really suggest for you guys where to go from here, but if you guys are interested in diving into the rest of his works, here's a list. So next up, I want to suggest for you guys a couple books, a couple films, and a couple documentaries that would pair well with your reading of Moby Dick. So the first couple books I would suggest are The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Both, are thematically similar. I really like The Old Man in the Sea because it has a lot of similar philosophy as Moby Dick, and I read both at the same time when I first read Moby Dick. Actually, Moby Dick funny enough, is the first book that I ever bought for myself. So as a young kid, I would get gifts, for Christmas or for my birthday, or my parents would give me some money to go to the book fair and pick a couple things out. Usually I'd spend my money on posters and not books, but eventually I think I was very, very young. I think in grade 3 or 4, like very, very young, and I had just heard of Moby Dick. I just heard that it was like one of these great books that everybody loves. Everybody thinks it's fantastic, and I picked it up at a used bookstore, and it was a copy that was all beat up from like the 1970s. And I picked it up and I started flipping through it, and I'm like, this is one of the greatest books of all time, really? Like, maybe I should buy this. It's only like $2-3. I went and paid for it, brought it home. Couldn't really read it because I was like in the fourth grade. There was words that I didn't even know how to pronounce. So I put it on my shelf for years. And I remember coming back to it, I think in the 8th or 9th grade, and I finally picked it up, and I'm like, I'm going to read this. I'm going to trek through it. I know it's a long book, but I'm going to finally do this. And yeah, it changed my life, needless to say. It was a profound experience. It was one of the first times that I read a real serious book on my own, not a book that I was told to read in a class or something like that. I went out of my own way to read a very serious and dense book. Around that time, I was more interested in comic books, so that really surprised my mom that I was able to read this. And then shortly after that, I read The Old Man and the Sea, and that became one of my favorite books of all time, and Ernest Hemingway became one of my favorite writers of all time. So this book holds a special place in my heart, being that it's the first book that I ever bought. Obviously not this copy. I have my original copy somewhere else, but absolutely love this book, and I would pair it with The Old Man and the Sea and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is an absolutely phenomenal adventure, and there's a great film that you can pair with it. I think it's a Disney film from like the 50s or 60s, but the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie is also fantastic, so you can watch that with that book as well. Moving on to a couple films that I would recommend to pair with Moby Dick. The first of which being Moby Dick from 1956, the direct adaptation. It's probably the best one that you'll find out there, starring Gregory Peck. Absolutely phenomenal acting performance by him. And if you want one film to watch to go along with your reading of Moby Dick, it would be the 1956 film for sure. Another film that I would highly recommend came out about 10 years ago now. It's called In the Heart of the Sea, starring Chris Hemsworth, I believe. I think Tom Holland's in it too. And it tells the story of the sinking of the Essex. So the story that Moby Dick is based off of, that's the story that it covers. So it's not a direct adaptation of Moby Dick, but still a fantastic film. 3 other films that I would also recommend that have nothing to do with Moby Dick, only kind of have to loosely do with the ocean, would be Master and Commander from 2003, a supremely underrated film. I thought Russell Crowe's fantastic in that. The action sequences are exhilarating. It's a phenomenal film, and it doesn't get talked about enough. So Master and Commander from 2003, The Lighthouse from 2019, similar themes, a descent into madness, right? So that kind of parallels the Moby Dick story. And Jaws from 1975. When you're talking about scary fish, I think Jaws is kind of at the top of the list, even though in the literary world, it will always be Moby Dick. So a couple documentaries that I would recommend. So the first is Herman Melville, The Life and Legacy. If you guys want a bit more of a deeper dive into the man's life, I would highly recommend that documentary. It's the one that I was referring to before, so you guys can go check that one out. And also The Essex. That also tells the story, of course, of the 1820 sinking of the Essex. So if you guys want a little bit more background on the story that inspired Melville to write Moby Dick, I would highly recommend checking out that documentary as well. Lastly, I want to leave you guys with my 2 favorite quotes from the book, and the first of which is probably one of the most famous quotes in all of literary history. It's "Call me Ishmael." It's the first opening line of the book, and it just captivates you. There's just something about it. I don't know why, but it's an iconic opening line to a book. So "Call me Ishmael" is one of my favorite quotes, obviously. And the other one, a little bit more interesting, is from Captain Ahab. "From hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee." And I don't want to spoil that quote. I want you guys to read the book yourselves and find where it's at and find what it means, because it's a powerful, powerful quote in the book. So absolutely love this book. Like I said before, it's a life-changing book. It's the first serious book I ever read, the first book I ever spent my own money on, even though I was a very young child and had no idea what I was doing buying Moby Dick. But But when I eventually came around to reading it, it was a transformative book, and I want everybody watching this to have that same experience. So if you haven't read Moby Dick, please go out and read it. There is an awesome audiobook on YouTube for free. If you guys are audio listeners, it's not like the greatest audiobook in the world, but as far as free audiobooks go, it's pretty damn listenable. So please go read this book, come back to this video if you can, and let me know what you guys thought about it. If you've already read Moby Dick and you're just watching this video for fun, definitely let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought of it. Do you guys have a favorite chapter, maybe a favorite character? And I love talking with you guys down there. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. Let me know down below in the comments which books you guys want to see covered next in this series. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.